Hello, hello. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Greetings, awesome beings. Thank you all for being here. Something a bit different today. I'm live with Lorenzo. Many of you know Lorenzo from our videos we've been doing, our Freedom's Calling You series and other series. So yeah, we're going to get into talking about personas and facades, right?
Yep.
So thank you all for being here. Hello, Emma, Jollyman, LV, Skypilot, Gary, Hippie, who are we? Alistair, Skypilot, William, and everyone else. How are you going, Lorenzo?
Good, good. We did a 9 video series. It's in the can and ready to go. Campbell and I have decided to do these once a week as possible for our schedules. Each one related to one of the topics from the videos we've done, because some people have already asked us to maybe expand a little bit on what our course is about. You can see Find Life's Missing Purpose below over there, our 9 video series. Today we've decided to, jump right in on the first one, which is persona, or another definition is a mask. About the masks you wear, why you wear them, how they affect you, what they mean, and how they can be related to finding your life's missing purpose. So I'm doing good, in other words.
And this is all, yeah. And this is all about, if we want to move forward, there's been so much talk about this new world and, everyone rising up and all this kind of stuff. Get your vibes high, and this is it. We need to become the people that create this new world. We can't just kind of sit down and wait for a savior or anyone to come and do it for us, because that's the scam, right? When you believe that, you sit on your butt and do nothing. So the first part of changing things and getting out there and building something different is becoming something different, right? Because for things to change, things have to change. Very profound little statement, that one. And so the first thing is, who are we? Who are we pretending to be? We look at history and we've got all these buildings with facades on them, right? And we look back in time and we see that they used to be these magnificent buildings with gold gilding on them and antique tech and all this amazing finishes on them. And then, the system comes along and starts taking all the nice bits out. And then today, what are we left with? These boring square buildings. And it's kind of a lot like us, isn't it? We're born and we're just potential and we have all these gifts and all this stuff to give. And society starts telling us no, 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 and taking away from us. And we end up, basically a shadow of who we really should be. So the best way to get back to the grandeur, shall we say, is look at who we've pretended to be, because that's what we do. When we, are told by society that we're not good enough and we can't, we then become someone that we believe will fit into society and won't, rock the boat and all that. But that's again, that's the
It
scam,
is the
right? So
scam. And taking what Campbell
society,
said just one bit further, for things to change, things have to change. But for things to really change, you have to change. I have to change. We have to change. That's why we're kind of talking about facades and masks and personas. Changing your makeup or changing your hat or changing your pants. Could give you a different feeling, which will help you change. And those are all fine things to play with, so to speak. But for lasting change, you got to get under the facade. Dig deep. See where things have been flooded and covered over, as Campbell said, and figure out where you have a persona and a mask and what's behind that, which is really what our course is about. It's understanding the persona, how it's affected you. One of the better questions we've asked, maybe Campbell and I will talk about that a little bit, is what have you given up, to put on that mask? What have you covered up? What have you lost by putting on a persona, by putting on a facade? What's really going on underneath those layers of makeup or
yeah,
illusions?
yeah. How often do we see like little kids, especially little girls, and they're running around out in the street and they dress up as fairies and princesses and all this kind of stuff? But by the time they hit school age, right, suddenly that's not acceptable anymore. You've got to give up, all these dreams of things that society doesn't deem acceptable, and even the actions, right? I mean, if you were a 15-year-old girl running around with a big hat on and a wand and yeah, I'm a fairy, people would probably look at you differently than if you were 5. But why is that? That's really just society saying, "Hang on, you're what are you doing? You look like you're moving out of sync with everyone. We're all supposed to pretend that stuff's not fun. Come on, get back in the herd." And this is the thing, right? That they make us believe that everyone believes the same, and that everyone is just these boring people who are like, oh. But in reality, everyone sees people who want to be themselves, and they're like, ah. But they believe everyone else is, won't let them. It's the weirdest thing, right? So literally, if we all just went, well, bugger it, let's just be ourselves, this is the thing, right? We can change the reality very quickly. So who are you, and who are you pretending to be is the big thing. Who are you pretending? Because we all pretend to be someone, even to an extent, when the camera starts rolling, I have, I guess a bit of a persona as well. I'm definitely not this talkative normally with it. So personas, we all have these things, these modes that we go into, but which ones are stopping you from moving forward and being your real you?
And what have you given up by putting on your persona? This is what I'll move along on this. When I was growing up and I was a little boy, I remember I liked playing, I liked drawing, I liked, singing, dancing, gardening, all those things, doing the art and exploring what's behind the trees, under the grass, what's in the stars. I used to sit up at night and dream and consider life on other planets, consider moving beyond, the normal strangulatory or strangulation, what it felt like being strangled in my life. And then, one day, I decided it was time to become an adult. And then when I did, for a while, I pretended to be a salaryman, a business guy, what have you. And, it took me years to figure out what I gave up was my imagination. What I gave up was my love of creation. What I gave up was my love of music. What I gave up was my love of joy. And what I gave up was what's really important. It's taken me decades to come back to wanting to become what I used to espouse, play with when I was smaller, younger, was, my imagination, my creative side, the aspect of being more tell you as possible and seeing where that can take you.
I mean, it's just the way of the world, isn't it? I speak a lot about school, and as soon as you get there, they tell you, oh, no, your imagination's wrong. Go and kill your imaginary friend. Sit down, listen, and repeat to back to me what I say, or go and stand in the corner and be as the naughty kid, right? And this just makes us believe that, this is the thing, right? With school, it's like everything that you do that we do, that's us, like whatever, like, you might have inspiration and you yell something out in class, and we get punished for that. Right? If we want to do something different, we get punished for it. If we want to ask questions where they don't want questions asked, we get punished. So all these things that make us who we are the things that are suppressed, right? So and we know this, right? This is the system. This is how it happens. And the only thing that we have control over is our reaction. We can sit there and we can yell at the world, and we've seen it. It's all over social media. We can throw soup on paintings and tell the world it must change, and if it doesn't, we'll glue ourselves to a wall somewhere. But it doesn't change anything. Nothing happens. People just go, dude, get your life together. So we get to change, right? So this is it. Like this is all about self-responsibility, and it's really saying, okay, and it's no one's fault. We've all got thrown in this mixing pot together, and all got all this propaganda thrown at us. But now that we can see with better eyes and see a bit more clearly, we can say, well, what decisions, were bad for me, were detrimental? Who am I pretending to be that's not helping me? What do I need to do to change? It's not the mask, right? Jim Carrey, he's like this little sort of person who gets scared of the world, but then he pretends to be someone, and he gets all this stuff right. But in the end, it doesn't, he's pretending to be someone that he isn't, so he can't carry it through, and it all sort of falls apart. And we see this so often. So the best thing is to start the work now, I think, and just get real. Who am I pretending to be? Have a look at ourselves and start peeling back the layers that aren't serving us. And then as we do that, we're exposing our true selves.
I mean, maybe I saw a comment come by when we started talking with, original sin in divinity. And what's really interesting is that in Spanish, sin means without. Right. So sin is to take away from something. So it could be, as most words have been, misinterpreted or reinterpreted and lost, when sin is now something bad or something horrible, or you're doing something, God or spirit or somebody doesn't want you to do, which I think is a bunch of BS. Maybe the original sin pretty much could be without yourself, like living without who you really are, extracting your the core essence of who you were born with, what you were meant to do, where you were meant to be. Nobody is 5 and says, well, I want to grow up and sit in an office all day in a suit and and drink bad coffee and hope that I can pay my mortgage, right? Nobody's doing that. No little girl or little boy is saying, well, I want to grow up and be distressed, diseased, sickened, chased by the tax collector and with my credit card payments and all the above, all the stresses that seem to come to us in our life on a daily basis. So I pretty much think that original sin is us giving up us. So I'm going back to the question I asked myself originally, like, what do you give up when you put on your persona or your facade? And I think you give up everything, because what you're really doing is you give up yourself. You give up your true essence, you give up your true nature. And we're going to get into that in a future one. I mean, that is even beyond the happy-go-lucky person you might have been as a child, a happy-go-lucky boy or girl. I mean, that's great to play, but I think you're giving up far, far, far more than that. Far more magic, far more creative ability, far more potential for making the kind of life you want to make, beyond what gets pushed to possess you as possible.
Indeed. And thank you for everyone who's watching. 140 of you. Thanks for the comments. I'm very sorry to hear that, Christy. That's something that we might broach in future topics as well, because a lot of us has been through something similar as well. But today we're talking about the persona, the facade, who we're pretending to be and how it holds us back. And this, does have to do with grief as well, because, there seems to be, right, all these protocols for everything, right? It's like, well, if you're grieving, you need to do this. But really, it is, I think, the main thing is you just need to feel and let yourself feel and let yourself go to places. But the main thing I found was you do have to catch yourself from you can't let yourself spiral down, because that can happen. And this can happen in life. We can... And I talk about this a lot. We can see things, and this is why personas are built up a lot. It's like, well, when I go out and I'm myself, I get bullied or whatever. So I'm going to become this person, and so we start becoming, someone that we're different, someone that we're not, so that we can get all these, a different reaction basically, and feel better about ourselves. But in doing that, we're giving up who we really are. We're giving up our power, and life a lot of the time is to teach us lessons. I think we find out when we get to this age that, it kind of is a journey, right? We don't know what's going on. We don't have a good perspective when we're going through this stuff, and we're like, oh, it's so horrible. It's so horrible. I went to 7 schools, so, clearly it's always having to settle in. It's like, blah, blah. But then with age, you can see that was actually beneficial. Okay, well, that gave me these, skills that made me this kind of person. So, we can look at our lives and see where maybe we misinterpreted things that, as bad, that may have been potentially good, because in the end, nothing is really good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So it's how we perceive things, and because that's how we react to them. All right. So if we're, oh my God, I'm whatever, right? I'm fat. Then we're going to see ourselves as fat. We're going to put ourselves out as fat. We're going to build a persona and all this stuff, and we become these people. And the thing is, that's probably got to start from you trying to protect yourself from something, so we become these people, and 30 years later, we're not really sure how. So the first thing is we really need to get real. We need to go there. We need to go, well, look, I made stupid decisions. I mean, God, I did. We all have, right? We've all messed up, meteorically. I definitely have. But that's where the learning is. You can't learn that something's wrong if you don't do it wrong, right? You can't learn how to do something better if you don't stuff up, if you don't try it. So, not really sure where I was going with that, Lorenzo. But yes,
well, I think
this is really all about getting real with yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a matter of noticing. I would say, why you put the masks on. You know, whether you were pained when you were little, maybe you were called fat, maybe you were called stupid, maybe you were called short or tall or not good enough, or all the things that come to us even indirectly from if it's not from parents or friends, TV at the time, or newspaper articles or magazines. I think they're all built in many ways on I see abusing cycles of abuse, but they abuse you in a subconscious level by telling you you're not good enough, right? You're not smart enough, you're not fast enough, you're not sexy enough, tall enough, short enough, whatever. And you take that in. And I would say it's a parent's role to kind of protect you from that, but they've got their own, let's say, limitations that they've perceived as real for them. So that gets passed along to you too. And as I can talk about myself, it's why I put my masks on originally. Like, oh, you're too fat. Well, I'm going to be the brave guy, or I'm going to be the smart guy, or I'm going to be the tough guy, or I'm going to be, whatever. And then you get covered in further and further away from. I'll talk about myself. Like, why was I somewhat overweight when I was younger? And it was because the world wasn't loving. I didn't feel the support that I was required for my imagination. So, being an open-hearted fellow, the pains would hit me over and over. Like, don't you want to just love? No, you got to do this, or no, you got to be sports, you got to run faster, or you got to get better grades. And for me, it was to cover up my own perceived limitations by eating too much, and that led to more problems and more challenges without actually getting to the heart of why I felt the world was being mean. And for me, it was simply unloving in all the ways you can imagine.
And we don't have a lot of people to talk to about this kind of stuff. Especially as young people, but even as older people, everyone's so into their facade, right, that they're just pretending that they've got it all together, and so most people won't go there. And this is what we've seen in the last couple of years, right? And why a lot of people having so much problems with seeing what's actually happening is they've invested so much in their facade, in who they are, right? I'm whatever. I'm an accountant. I'm a successful lawyer. I'm this. I'm that. And so they buy in, and they through their actions, and they start talking. Oh, you need to do this, and then they won't ever get to a place where they go, well, I was wrong. And like we said before, until you're wrong, you can't learn, right? You can't. And of course, mistakes are just mistakes, right? So this is why the main thing is really, we just have to get real. We have to grow up. We have to take responsibility for ourselves, because no matter where you are, that's where you are, right? You can wish, and sit on cushions in the lotus position for hours. You can even do it in a cave, but it won't change anything. Okay, you're just going to be sitting there in a cave in the lotus position. So this is the thing. And there was a comment, I've forgotten what it was, and I'll keep talking because I've clearly been abandoned. But there's a lot of blame around, right? Like, oh, but my parents did this. Okay, fine. What did their parents do to them? What did their parents do to them? I mean, how far do we want to go back? Are we going to go back and blame, Adam and Eve? And someone else mentioned that there's been some trauma, and there has, right? We all know about the orphan brains. There is a systemic trauma, but that's, we've got to understand that's something that we need to deal with collectively. So blame is the killer of growth. As soon as you blame, and you start pointing the finger, you're a victim, and victims are victims. Victims don't change their circumstances. So if you are in the blame game, go inside and just see why are you angry. Try and have a look at things from different perspectives, because, like I said, if your parents were mean and did things that they shouldn't have, where did they come from? How did they get raised? What did their parents do to them? So we can't, this whole blame thing is a big killer as well. And of course, that's what they're promoting at the moment. Go out there and blame the world for your problems, and it'll change. You'll wake up and everything will be fine. All you've got to do is point that finger.
Yeah, and then nothing happens. I mean, I spent my whole life pointing my finger, and it didn't get me anywhere. Even if you're quietly pointing your finger, right? Even if you're pointing it at yourself, in my opinion, you're wasting time, because, it's all your fault, and it's not your fault. But really, what it really comes down to is it's all your responsibility, right? And Marcel over there says we're all wounded. I mean, sure, we've all been challenged, but I'm going to say the wounds are all self-inflicted wounds in that we allow the wounds to come in. If someone says you're stupid, you have to agree with it to become stupid, right? If someone says you're whatever, fill in your own blanks of what bothers you, you have to agree with it. I mean, we get tricked when we're 4, 3, 2, 1, 6, 7, and it's a lot easier to trick a child, obviously, because they're innocent, and they're wide-eyed and they're open for it. But it doesn't matter when you're 44 or 34 or 74. At this moment, you have to go back, in my opinion, and this is what our course is about, and figure out where you let that original wound in, where you decided you were stupid, where you chose to accept your limitations, whatever it is you put on yourself, because guaranteed, they're your limitations because you put them there. And as harsh as that could be, the other side of that is you can lift them, right? If you lift your limitations, then you can, see what's behind that and figure out, how you hobbled yourself or changed yourself or denied yourself, and, to go in the other direction. And, hard as that may be, it's harder not to, in my opinion. So, the world does suck and the world is hard. And maybe I'll tell a story one day about my grandmother, who was an orphan, running from Russia to Poland, and, in the middle of a winter forest with 2 kids and chasing off bears on a wooden cart, and, looking for food and berries to stay alive. And that was a story I've heard only recently about my past. So, if she sat down in the snow and said, "Oh my goodness, this is so hard, the war is coming, and I'm going to die here, and there's nothing I can do, and I can't believe those, a-holes for doing this," well, I wouldn't be here. My parents wouldn't be here, right? But, she pulled up her Russian Polish stock pants, I guess, and ran across the woods. And, they had a hard life, from what I've heard, up until even, when they passed, maybe 20 years ago now. But I never heard them complain, when I was growing up, when I was little. I have to say that now. I only saw them trying to pass strength along to me, as much as I didn't appreciate it when I was small. And I thought they were pushing me towards a life I didn't like, and it just might be that their own limitation was they were told money means success and security. And so that gets pushed on. And so now that you, maybe in Campbell and I, know that, money is more than, pieces of paper in your pocket, but more of a energetic flow of life, we can figure out how to make ourselves, as Marcel said, we can heal ourselves. And that's pretty much what that course is about that you see on the screen there. Campbell and I sweated blood to put that together, I'm going to say, for 3 or 4 months, looking at ourselves, figuring it out, putting it up there. Pure blood, and, the missing purpose, I'm going to give this. Pardon me?
Sorry. I said it was pure, unadulterated blood, unjabbed.
And sweated. We did sweat. And then really what it comes down to is you get to find yourself throughout all of this, which is the best gift anybody can imagine.
Yeah. And as Gold Coast Lady says, sometimes we have to, stand on our own, right? And stand up for who we are, society, whether they be family, friends, whatever, work. We'll always try and bring you back into the fold, right? Bring you back into them. And the reason that happens is, you see, if you're successful, if you get your crap together and you get to a place where you're just like, man, this is awesome, I love life, I've got everything I need, how's that going to make everyone around you feel? It's going to make them feel less than successful, right? So this is why people trying to hold us back, is they don't, if we go ahead and do these amazing things and go, look, I did it, that means we take away all their excuses. So they'd much rather hold you back, right? Come on, no, just have a beer on the couch. Let's watch the footy. Then we don't have to worry about doing anything. And tomorrow we can wake up and be pissed off at the world again. But that's okay, because 8 hours later, we'll just have some more beer and watch the footy. It's all good. 40 years, we've got this, right? And this is literally how people live their lives. Literally, that's what people do. Driving around in circles, pretending the crap's not there, until they can get to a time in the day when they can take something and pretend it's not there, right? It's just this big make-believe game that we're playing with ourselves, and we're all in it, but being these characters, and no one's being real, right? And then we see real, we've all seen someone who's themselves, someone who's real, and they're just like magnets, right? And they are the people who change the world. They're the people who inspire. So as far as all this, obviously I spend a lot of time on a screen near you talking, all this stuff. But in the end, everyone has to make their own decisions. Everyone has to decide who they are, who they're going to be. And are you going to stand for it? Are you going to bend when your family says you're crazy? What do you mean? Just read the textbooks or just listen to the science, right? So this is a big thing. Is society will always try and pull us back, but and there's so many emotional ties to that. How you have to do this with your family. They're your family. They're your friends. You have to. You don't really. You have to be happy, live a good life, and do no harm. That's what you have to do. That's it. So yeah, it's all about getting real, being yourself, finding where you want to go, and then standing in that power, because they're the people who go forward. We know it. We all know this.
And for those of us that are
stop just as I do.
Yeah, there's some great questions coming through. I'm watching, the chat. And for those of us that may want to join us in a more personal, level, if you take our course, Campbell and I are doing monthly Zoom chats where people can interact with each other, or we can all have a chance to talk, or we can see your face if you want to show it. We can just hear your voice if you don't. And there's an opportunity to go through this with us in relation to what we've done. So if you haven't yet, check out our course. The link will be below. We'd love to see you there. We're going to do our monthly Zoom chats. There's some that are joining us. We're starting our first one in a couple of days. Our Sunday, your Saturday, 2 days from now. So it's not too late to see what we've done, to get involved, and to to come along. I saw one comment from Pamela that said she healed her epilepsy with forgiveness. To me, it's amazing to see that you can heal yourself. I would say, if you broke a bone and you're bleeding out, maybe go to a doctor. Other than that, forget about it. There's something going on inside. Make sure you understand you so you can get yourself healed, because I don't think, and I know no one can figure out what's going on with you better than you can, especially when it's something of a deep, energetic and serious nature.
Yeah, and everything is energy. This is what we're finding out, and we've I think we've all learned a bit of a lesson about the medical institutions recently, and this is the thing. All these traumas and that. I remember talking to someone, gosh, when I was quite young, about all this, and she was saying, when you see parents, this is more back when I was growing up, and children were to be seen and not heard, right? And you'd see the parents and the kid would get excited and go to say something, the parents would be like, shh, and the kid would be like, oh. And she's like, every time they do that, that's blockage, right? They're holding, like, you can see them, and they hold it inside them. Now, until you get that back out again, that affects you, and so this is the thing. Until we can be real and go, look, I was just a kid just trying to say something, I wasn't being bad. My parents were just doing what they thought was right, what they'd been taught by their parents. So let's just get rid of this, right? Let's breathe and get it out. We can't get rid of any of that stuff if we're sitting there like, oh, but it was my parents. How dare they did that? They did it. They were so mean to me. That's just hot. That's just going to grow things. And the other thing is focus. We need to acknowledge things, but we don't need to focus on them. Like we need to acknowledge, okay, look, my whatever wasn't perfect. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Go through it and then leave it, because if we keep going back and focusing on it, again, we're putting energy into it. What we focus on grows. And that energy really needs to be focused on going forward, where we want to be, who we want to become, what do we want to drop. We talked about the armor, right? The facade being like armor, and the chinks in it. Take the armor off, right? Who are you fighting? Who are you fighting? Just yourself. So do we have any good questions? We've been going half an hour. We figured we would impart some information, and then we check out and see. Oh, Benjamin Balderson is here. How you going, Ben? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, if anybody...
Thank you for everyone. 159 of you want us. Thanks for being here.
So if you haven't yet, check out our course. We'd love to see you there. We've got it up at our introductory level price, we'll say, for another. We've decided to extend that till March 1st, right? And anybody who wants to join us there, who feels the need send me an email. If there's any challenges in signing up or figuring out, we're happy to help. We want as many people as possible to grow with us, to be with us, to love with us, to heal with us, and to come along with us. We do get stronger together. I figure it's a solo journey, but also we do get stronger together. There's no doubt about it. 159 of you are watching, as Campbell said, and I'm sure thousands and thousands more have visited our page and come to us and watched our videos. We really would love to see you with us. And one plug we haven't said yet, and I'll mention, which is coming out soon. Campbell and I are starting a new series, and a new Dreaming of Tartaria, a new way to be, a new way to see, a new way to make yourself into the kind of person that can live in the kind of life that maybe we all have missed but would like to experience. And I have found for myself, I've been through my own challenges. I was a fat little boy. I've been called stupid. I had challenges. I had all kinds of problems growing up, and it wasn't until, I was older and more secure in who I was that my life started to become the way I wanted it to become, right? And I spent a lot of years going through my own pains and challenges, and I think it's just so that we could be here and say to you, it's possible. You can reclaim the love, the imagination, the beauty you had as a little one. You can reclaim your wonder, your power. You may have to let go of everything to get everything. That's just the way it goes. But in my opinion, look at that smile on Campbell's face. Like Campbell and I are becoming good friends as much as we can be good friends without ever having met face to face. Right? I'm becoming good friends with other people. Yeah. And for me, it's a delightful process just to see what can happen when you decide to follow your imagination, because I have no idea how we got here. I have no idea how we're doing this or why we're doing this, other than we're doing it because we chose to. And that's that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a different thought, right? Brings a different action. A different action brings a different result. And I've said it so often, I have no idea how I got it. I just made a video one day 3 years ago, and here I am. And all this stuff just happens, right? When you start being yourself and following things that really, make you happy and interest you, things just happen. You get in the flow, as they say. And that's what this is all about, finding your true essence, right? Finding your true you, finding your true Tartarian, maybe we'll call it, right? Because this is all about, we've spent 2.5, 3 years sitting around, working out all the facts, getting all this information, seeing, the great unveiling, the apocalypse, and now here we are. So what do we do with it all? Well, it's time to take action and time to start actually building these places that we've been talking about. Start creating parallel economies and all this kind of stuff, parallel businesses, because we know that, at least for us, the system's dead. So we need to build everything that we need for, for the best life ourselves. And this is what it is. So everything needs to be reimagined. Everything. So if you're sitting there like, wow, what am I going to do? I mean, seriously, everything needs to be reimagined. Everything that we need for normal, daily life and that we take for granted, it all has to be redone, because if it's not, then we're still slaves of the system. And I was also just going to say that, I think we are the misfits, right? I'm pretty sure that everyone here was a misfit growing up, or at least a partial misfit. And I don't think anyone here was someone who was, one of the cool kids or one of the kids who, went to uni and got their high-paying falutin job and all this. Well, apart from Lorenzo, who then gave it up. But and unless you've been through there, like, because you got pushed and you're like, this isn't right, and then you're like, break free. So that's who we are, right? And I've noticed this my whole life. Like, they try and tell us, no, the smart people are the ones in suits who really you can't even talk to because they're just repeaters. No, that's the smart people. That's who you want to be. But they're so boring. My whole life, it's the outsiders that are the interesting people. That's where the interesting conversations and knowledge is. So again, they've inverted everything. We are in the right place. We are the ones sharing good information. I mean, look at the chat. There's no hate around here. It's all about, support and love and empowerment. And so we have everything we need. And I've said this so many times. We have everything we need. We just got to get out there and start building things, building these communities, doing it. And seriously, it's like, as soon as you start that, you turn around in no time and it's like, how did this happen? What happened? Everything, what?
You
How
know,
does that happen?
so
And like you said, seriously, that's how it
so
goes.
speaking of the business, check out newagora.ca. Campbell and I have been working diligently for the last few years.
Shameless,
We want to bring this community together.
I'm gonna make a promo. Shameless promotion.
Shameless promotion. We may need some
Oh,
help, with the coding and stuff like that, some web design, that sort of thing. But to build this new society, we have to build this new society. So we would love more people to come and help us as they can, as we can help them, as you can help us, as we can put our skills, our currency, our love, and our dedication, our imagination together, and see how that can make us all grow into the kind of wonderful community, whether it's Australia, Japan, places, people from all over the world, wherever you happen to be. I think there is a way for us to make it work if we decide that we want to make it work together.
yeah, yeah. And this is just a start. Again, I'm going to do a promo so you'll know. Shameless promotion. All links below. Join our email list. You'll find the link for our course there and the website as well. So go and check all that out. If you do have any questions or anything you want us to cover, you can get in touch with us that way. And we're going to be back every Friday. So yeah, if you've got any questions about what we're talking about, let us know. And like Lorenzo said, we're going to be doing live what are they, round tables, I guess,
Rounds.
where we're going to like Q&As, I guess. Yeah, and you can sit there and you can ask questions and add us to us and all that kind of stuff. So this is a big thing that we want to get going this year is, it's like I said before, we've seen all this information and all this talk and all these ideas and all this I want to, and so now we want to basically, as much as we can, provide tools so people can do that, because, it's like Bruce Springsteen says, right? Nobody wins until everybody wins. Until we're all in a place where everything is working for us, it's going to be this crap, system, right? So that's where we're going this year, as well as many other directions. And so we've got courses, we've got websites, lots of information, and who knows, right? We may even look at doing some meetups later in the year, maybe. Go to a tropical island so we can actually meet each other.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. We're looking at we're going to be discussing building homes, building people, but I've been to many, many, many communities over the years with supposedly good intentions or good ideas. And really, really from the bottom up, people are what makes a community. So you have to make sure you're strong in your energy, you're strong in your purpose, you're strong in your intent. I saw a fellow named Liam that said he would like to help, info@newagora.ca. We'll put their email below. Anybody that has any ideas or wants to help us, hit me up, send me an email or leave a message. But look at it this way, if you sign up for our course, right, which is not so expensive whatsoever, not only do you get to take the course now, but Campbell and I have committed to 1 year of doing those live roundtables once a month, third Sunday of every month, where you can join if you take the course, because we want to make sure that you're willing to do the work with yourself. You can see us, you can chat with us. And that's all included, right, in what we're doing, just to put as much as we possibly can in the middle for the people that want to grow with us. Campbell and I put in 350% each. So we're willing to meet you and to see what's possible. And if anybody has any ideas where we can help each other, once again, at the risk of saying it once more, let me know. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to see, and we're happy to share. And, if it's not me or Campbell, we can hook you up with someone that can help you. And we feel if anybody really wants to grow and be free, dream of Tartaria and be live and happy and have a good life, well, it's possible. I think we're proving it.
It is, and like I said before, you just got to put out the intention and things happen. We started talking, we want to do things a bit more practical, a bit more on the land, and suddenly these opportunities pop out, right? And like Lorenzo said, there's things that'll be coming up later in the year to do with housing, off-grid housing, and electricity, all this kind of stuff. So, we're working sort of, we're looking for solutions and putting a lot of time and effort into it, and all these answers are out there. So whatever, you feel like you want to do, whatever it is, just put it out there and start, paying attention. And there's so many opportunities at the moment. And so we want to empower everyone. So at the end of the year, we want to be the people that are showing everyone else how to do it, right? Because you can sit there and you can talk as much as you want and your head until your head falls off. But when you do it and show people, then they know it's doable. Like I said before, you take away all their excuses, right? So that's where we are. Like people are like, oh my God, you can't do this. Well, let's just go and do it. Oh no, what do you mean? There is no free energy. Well, let's go build off-grid communities that run on free energy. And then what are they going to say? Right? This is how we do it. We just do it. We don't listen to them. Just make our minds up and let's just move in a direction we want to go. And so, yes, lots of links below, and we're working on other things. So there may even be another site popping up soon, which will be a paywall site because, as you know, the rules of YouTube won't let us say everything we want to say, and they've just been tightened again. So we've got to be really careful that with it, seriously, like they're just trying to cut channels. So anything that's a bit, on the edge, where unfortunately has to be taken off site. But that'll be coming up in the future as well. And so there's lots of resources that you'll find on the website. And that's pretty much our plan for 2023. We've got big plans. We're taking action, and we hope that you'll come along for the ride, maybe.
Yeah, it's the year of the rabbit, Chinese year. The Chinese New Year starting in a couple of days. I'm a lucky rabbit. It's a lucky year. I've been lucky my whole life. So join us in this lucky year of the rabbit. I've heard it's the kind of year that if you've had troubles making your dreams come true, making a success of your business, making your, balancing the checkbook, whatever you want to call it, making the currency, it's our year. It's the time to do that. It's time to grow beyond all the other stuff that we thought was possible and not, and to, even as I'm speaking this, I got an email from the fellow that wants to talk with us about building that off-grid community. I see it right now. I'm going to be talking to him early next week. Campbell just mentioned it. This is what Campbell means by the intention. Campbell just mentioned it. You put the intention out, and the guy just emailed me literally 5 seconds ago to say he's ready to talk this Monday about bringing that to Australia, where Campbell is going, and to build this off-grid. So that's what we mean. It's the time that if you put your imagination out and you mean it, can't mean it 90%, has to be 100%, 99% won't even work. And then it happens, and then you get beyond needing the government, needing the rules, needing the tools, needing the whatevers that they say you need, because it's all BS. All you need is your heart and your imagination, your guts, your intuition, and your love, and your friends. Campbell and I are becoming friends, really. You could use a little help from my friends, as they say. But we've all got a piece of that puzzle, right? Mm. And then we grow exponentially. 3 of us make things grow faster than 3 people working individually. What did they say? You can break one arrow, you put a whole bunch of arrows together, 12 arrows, impossible to break. Kind of like that. In fact, exactly like that. So, there you go.
Yeah. And oh God, like Lorenzo's in Japan, right? Like there's no... What are the chances of us ever meeting up? And, Kelly as well, Bernie's, all these things that happen, all these people. It's like, how does this happen? Well, it's because everything's energy. Everything is energy.
Yep.
And so if we, like Lorenzo just said, we put it out there and energy is instant. So boom, someone over in America was like, oh yeah, I need to email Lorenzo. Boom. And there you go, right? Who needs mobile phones, man? We got everything we need.
Nope, I don't even have one. Nobody believes me, but I don't even have one. I just follow my intuition, my guts, and let things happen as they do. Well, my wife has one, but that's okay. So I use it if I need to occasionally for things. But, basically, intuition, all these technological things are taking over what we can be doing without them, in my opinion. But here we are, we're meeting, using this crazy internet against itself, to meet you guys and all of us all across the world. So yes. I love you all very much. I guess we're getting beyond our half an hour, but I've enjoyed myself. We'll be here again next week, same time, same channel. And if anyone has anything, topics or anything or else they want to discuss, let us know.
That's the one. Next Friday, same free time, same free channel. Time to free the dome, because freedom is calling.
Yes.
So thank you all for being here. We appreciate you all. Thank you all for the great energy and the comments. Like I said, heaps of links below. Come and check them out. Check out our course. A lot of time and effort into it. It's on a sale price for the next couple of weeks, and then it will have to go up a little bit. And keep your eye out. There's lots of stuff coming in this year, and we're definitely going to by the end of this year, we want to be somewhere completely different. We want to be in the world we've all been talking about for the last 2.5 years. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Yay.
All right, guys. Thank you for spending some time with us, and we'll talk to you all next Friday, if not before. Thanks, Enzo.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon. Love you all.